Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Cupid's Coach podcast. I'm your host, Julie Ferman, inviting you to transform me to we through your process of doing dating better than you used to. I'm really excited today. I get to bring one of my colleagues on the show. Her name is Jennie Agin. She's in Colorado Springs, and she's young. Like a lot of us matchmakers are like, 50, 60. She's younger, but she still has experience. I'm really happy to have you on the show, Jennie. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we all feel old if we're over the age of about 30. I think 30 is about the age where we start thinking that we should, oh, I'm 30.
I always looked forward to being 40, honestly. It's a great time of life. You know what you want and you
Mhm.
still feel good. You can go out and run a marathon if you want to. I won't, but I can.
Yeah.
So,
And
yeah.
if you're 42 and you're done with the question, am I going to have a kid or another kid? It's a whole lot easier to be joyous.
Yes.
Yeah,
I do believe
definitely.
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
There are
Because
a
it's
lot of different
natural.
ways that
Yeah.
women can have and enjoy children. They don't necessarily have to have them biologically.
Yeah.
And
Just just
yeah,
just because society says, I'm really seeing a lot more of that than I ever have. People reinventing rules according to what works for them, thinking outside the box. Mhm.
absolutely. Choice is
So
a beautiful thing.
choice is a beautiful thing. So what's the name of your company, Jennie Agin?
My company is called Storyful Matchmaking.
Tell
And
us why you called your company Storyful. It caught my
yeah,
attention the minute I saw it.
I just love the idea of helping people tell better stories when it comes to their love lives. I think that when it comes to smart, soulful individuals in particular, which is my target demographic, they have interesting stories to tell. And I want to be able to provide them with more interesting ways to share their love stories.
So how would that look? Can you give me an example of what that might look like on a first or second date? What might be a more interesting way to have that date using stories?
I think activities are so wonderful. It's a really great way to get to know somebody and how they operate. And as a smart, soulful single person myself, I love board games. So I, I encourage people to utilize board games or card games. That's a wonderful second date activity. It's low pressure. It's a great way to have fun, to also like ask questions, but in low pressure way. And when you play a board game, you can kind of see how they deal with the stress of not doing well, or like, do they gloat when they do well? It does tell a lot about a person when
I
they play
love
board
that.
games.
And it occurs to me that anybody can just Google in their hometown um, bars, restaurants, clubs that have board games. And it'll tell you, and then say, you know what I
Yes.
love to do for a second date? Take the pressure off, take the heat off. Let's have fun. Let's play a board game. I found two places in town that have board games, everything from backgammon to checkers to Monopoly to Clue. What do you think?
Settlers of Catan, all the things.
One of the things that I run into, and I bet you do too, is the expectation from women that the guy is going to show up as the man with the plan, with the ideas for what to do. She expects he's going to court her properly, call her by Wednesday for a date on Saturday. And we're actually better at making plans than guys are. We just are. In relationships,
Mhm.
it's usually us girls that makes the plans. So, how would you say, it's probably mostly women listening, how would you say, um, if you had a first date with somebody and you're thinking about having a second date and you get on the phone together or we're texting, a lot of times it's a text to arrange the date. How
Mhm.
would you propose it? Given that you don't want to
Oh,
be the masculine energy in the relationship,
right.
right?
Right. And I do and I think like a lot of women, like I really appreciate it when a man plans, but I love to set people up for success. So I love to give options. So I can say to them, give me three options that have an outdoor element, or these are three things that I really enjoy doing, you pick which one is your favorite. And so that way you're giving them a smaller pool to choose
Perfect.
from,
Hmm.
right? But they
Yeah.
still can show up with their planning mind and do a great job. So I think it's both. I think men can still plan, but women can do a lot to help set them up for success.
I love the way you said that, Jenny. It's like, yeah, I've been thinking about you too. I'd love to get together. Gosh, I'm free on Saturday. I think you mentioned Saturdays are good for you. This coming Saturday is good for you. So many things we could do. Um, Rollerblading on the Strand. We could do fishing at this little place where you get to fish and they'll clean the fish and you can take them home and eat them that night. We could do a hike in the canyon or we could do board games at a club. Any of those things tickle your fancy?
Exactly. And then that way you know that you're going to be doing something that you enjoy rather than like having them suggest things that could potentially be not that fun.
Let's go do putt putt. And she's like, oh, really? But she's going to just put on a nice face. But she doesn't like putt putt. And she doesn't really want to go to putt putt. But she doesn't want to be the girl who's difficult and fussy. But if he suggests, like if somebody suggested to me, I really want to take you to Benihana. It's my favorite restaurant. Well, I'm allergic to shellfish. And if I eat at Benihana and they, are making the shrimp at the thing in the middle where everybody's throwing the shrimp, is no good for me. I have to leave.
No.
I have
Yikes.
to leave. My throat closes up and I can't breathe. So I would say, man, do I love Benihana, but I can't go because I'm allergic to shellfish. But you know what? I really like Japanese food. So one of the other Japanese foods, sushi or something, would be just fine. Would it be okay with you if we didn't get to go to your favorite restaurant for our third date?
Yeah, and that's a wonderful thing that you can do is if somebody suggests something that you don't like, be honest and tell them I don't like that plan. Or I can't
Offer
I can't go to
suggestion.
Benihana because
Yeah,
but
but
then
always,
provide an alternative and
thank you,
and
Jenny.
and you're still having a conversation. And I
Yep.
think that that can be really helpful for the person like, "Oh, they're not saying no to me, they're saying no to this thing." And
Yeah.
they're separate.
These second and third dates are so tender. It's like the tiny little blades of grass that are coming up in the spring, or the little baby tree that you just planted, and there's this big gust of wind and it's rolled over on its side, right? That's what's happening with an introduction I'm working on right now. I set up the first date. It went really well. He likes her a lot.
Ooh,
She's
awesome.
pretty, yeah, he likes her a lot. Of the people we've introduced him to, this is the one he likes the most. And she's being really difficult to lasso for a date. She's got this happening and that happening, and she doesn't give. They're both making a mistake because he'll say, I've got tickets to this thing on Wednesday night. Would you like to go? Well, that's a pretty small box of asking.
Mm,
So
mhm,
she couldn't go, and he gets a little pissy about it. And then he's just stuck. And what he should say instead, and I shared this with him yesterday,
mhm.
so she's busy on Wednesday. Find out when she is available. Nail down the when first. Well, I don't know what's going on Friday night. If you've got a date with her, that's what's going on
That's
Friday
what's
night.
going on. You'll figure out the rest. You're
The
right.
rest is easy. Hire a helicopter, take her on a tour, you do anything you want. But that's so he's messing up because he's only giving her one option. And she's messing up because she's not giving him alternate dates when she is lassoable.
Yes, I 100% agree with that. When you are offering to go on a date with somebody, always give them at least two options so that if one doesn't work out, then there's
Mhm.
another one. And if both don't work out, then they can say that. Actually, I'm busy on both those days.
Yep.
But how about X?
I'm thinking of this one introduction that I made many years ago, and she was a little more hoity-toity in her preferences. He's a very successful guy, but he wears casual clothes, jeans, nice button-down shirt. He's not fancy, and he
She's
loves to have fun.
picky. That's
You
what you
know,
mean. She's very picky. Is that
um,
it?
she's picky about being in an upscale environment.
Got it.
And to her, it doesn't feel like a date if it's not an upscale environment.
Right. They're wearing like a jacket and
Yeah.
loafers.
And
Right.
dressing up and going fancy. And, who likes to do that more, guys or girls? Come on, let's be honest.
I guess
Women,
women.
women and gay men. Women and gay men love to get dressed up and go out. Sorry, I generalized. I know it's horrible. Shoot me. But um, yeah, guys are not. So this is what happened. I set them up on their first date. It went just
Mhm.
great. I don't babysit the second date. I love matchmaker Maria. She's got the chutzpah to plan the second date too.
Interesting.
She's actually just smart because she's seen a lot of one date wonders.
Yes.
And we work too hard to create that introduction and to find these people and to get the yes responses and groom them for the date and all that, to have them constantly churning. Well, who else you got? Who else you got?
Mm.
I want to see second and third dates. So she's actually smart. I think you and I are learning something right here. It
Yes.
might be worth it to go ahead and plan the damn second date so nobody can screw it up. That's why we planned the first one.
Yeah, it's one less thing that they have to worry about, right? If the focus is going to be on, do I vibe with this other person? Am I connecting? Am I enjoying the conversation? Then planning the date is one less thing that they don't have to worry about. 100%. I
And
get
we're
that.
just, Jenny, you and I are just better at it. How many dates have we set up? I mean, I don't know, 30,000 or something in all
A
these
lot.
years? A lot. And so it's bada bing, bada boom, not a problem. But when people are nervous and oh, should I send a text message? Should I leave oh, she didn't get back to me. She must not be interested. So here's what happened in that one situation. It was their second date, and he suggested that they go to this really fun bar near, kind of halfway between their two homes. And it's a fun place. You can do darts, you can do pool, you can play ping pong, you got everything. It's like the basement you wish you had when you were a kid, right?
Yeah, awesome.
And he's never had anybody not like that place. It has air hockey. I had a couple who fell in love and got married, and their second date was air hockey, okay?
I
At the
believe
Santa
it.
Monica Pier. Yeah. So he suggests going to this place. And she gets all kind of aggravated and pissy, and she gets real quiet and she says, I just don't think this is going to work out. Thank you for the first date, but this is just not going to work out for me. And she hung up the phone,
Mm.
and that was it.
Interesting.
She lost a really, really good man. I have quoted this man before on this podcast, but I don't know if you've heard it. He said to me, because I let him know afterwards what the deal was. She wants a
Yes.
hoity-toity place. And he said, there's a time for a hoity-toity place. It's the fourth or fifth date. It's her birthday. It's Valentine's Day. But it's not the way I roll. I mean, I'll do it if I have to, or if it's a special thing and she really wants it, but not every date's not going to be that way. And he said, this is really what's bothering me about dating. We had a good conversation about it. And he said, if a woman expects certain kind of treatment or a certain type of restaurant or a certain type of whatever, if she's got an expectation, it robs him of the joy of providing it.
Yeah, and well, and here's the thing too. I think about the story you shared. It's one thing to have the expectation. It's another thing to have a preference, right? Like if she were to say, if I were to say, for example, like I don't love fishing. I don't like sitting on a boat and staring at the water and just being bored to tears for I don't know how many hours, right? So if somebody were to suggest fishing to me, I'd be like, no, thank you, because I know that about myself. I really wouldn't enjoy it. And if somebody were to suggest like going to play darts and this place that has a bunch of really fun games and they're not into it and they say like no thank you because that's like a preference that reflects their values, that's I mean I can respect it I guess, but that also suggests to me a lack of open-mindedness. And
Completely.
ultimately I want daters to be open-minded to try different things. And for
Mhm.
so that's what I think is really valuable, and the takeaway for me from that particular story is it's one thing to have preferences. I
Mhm.
really don't like playing darts. I don't really like being in loud environments, versus like I expect you to take me to these nice places only.
Yeah,
um,
she had a very narrow window.
right.
And sometimes that'll happen. And, girls will sit around and talk with their girlfriends and say, oh, we did this. He took you to that dive bar or whatever, and they're trashing the guy. And so sometimes I think that that we dress a certain way, or we wear a certain kind of shoes, or we do our hair a certain way, or nails, or whatever, for the other ladies in our world, not
Mm,
necessarily for the men. And if the it's like we don't want to be the girl that our girlfriends think settled,
mm,
you know?
mm. Yeah, that's a thing that people do. I understand that perspective. Like
Mhm.
this particular person is not somebody I want to date because I worry about what other people are going to think. Or going somewhere like a dive bar is horrible because I don't want to have to tell people I went to a dive bar. But if you have an open mind, right, you would find that maybe even going to the dive bar, you get an interesting story out of the
Yeah,
experience. And really,
yeah,
that's at the end of the day, like that's what I want.
yeah.
Is I think a lot of people resonate with this idea of just having experiences, just saying yes to things, trying things, as long as it doesn't go against your values.
Mhm.
Then I think the people should absolutely be open to trying,
Yeah,
getting
I think
outside
so
their
too.
comfort zones.
Jenny, when I talked with you on the phone last week, you told me about something I hadn't heard of before, and I thought it was really interesting. It's called Adventure Rabbi or something like that.
Yes.
What is it?
I love Adventure Rabbi. As a Jewish person, I really gravitate towards being able to celebrate my Judaism outside. I really love being amongst the trees, listening to the wind, sitting on a rock, and just looking out over a vista and contemplating life. And people who associate with Adventure Rabbi, I think, feel the same way. And so Adventure Rabbi is based in Boulder, Colorado, and they host these retreats, the major holiday retreats, 3 times a year. And the first two that are the high holidays, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and they're spent going up to a summer camp up north in northern Colorado. And it is just a wonderful experience where you spend time indoors, meeting people, gathering for meals. Service is initially inside, and that's like a traditional Rosh Hashanah service, but then you go to bed, and the following day you have breakfast with everybody, and then you go on a hike, and then you stop at a certain point and have conversation as a big group and then as little groups. And it's an awesome way to experience faith is really through conversations and the ability to reflect
Oh, I
and
love
do
it.
do it outside is
Is Adventure
awesome.
Rabbi specifically for single people or no?
No. So single people, not single people, families, all can participate.
Well, let me know when you're going to one, and if they let married girls who are married to Jewish men and have spent lots of time in temple go. I'd love to go
Yeah.
with you.
So the next one is coming up for Passover in April, Julie. We're
April,
we're
that could be
going to
really fun.
Moab.
All right. Moab, Utah.
Yeah, so Jews
Okay.
in the desert to celebrate
Um,
Passover.
Amazing. All right. It's so fun to know you. All right. You were a teacher at one point, then
Yeah.
you were in sales, and somehow you decided, I'm going to give up all of that and I'm going to become a matchmaker. How the heck did that happen?
It was a total career pivot, that's for sure. But I think one thing was very important, and that was I knew somebody. Right? Like, isn't that how everybody finds careers, jobs, whatever? I knew someone who was a matchmaker, and we became friends through my ladies' running club, actually. And as we got to know each other better, she suggested to me that I would be great at matchmaking. And I was like, well, that's so cool you said that because I've always wanted to be a matchmaker. Um, yeah, it's something that I thought about for a long time, but I had no idea, like, how do you get into that business? I watched Patty Stanger on The Millionaire Matchmaker and Elisa Ben Shalom on Netflix, and I was like, this is amazing. I want to do this, but I had no idea how. And so I just would do it informally, right? Friends, platonic connections, business connections.
Mhm.
I think that people who become matchmakers have a particular personality, right? They just love connecting people in general.
Mhm.
And that's what I have found as I've gotten to know a lot of matchmakers like yourself, is we
Mhm.
just really just love bringing people together who have some commonality that can add to one another's life. And now I get to do that professionally. So absolutely career pivot, but I'm so happy
Oh,
that
it's
I did
great.
it.
Um, I bet when you started in this industry, you were surprised and pleased that matchmakers collaborate and share and are open-hearted with each other, not competitive.
Absolutely. I think it's a huge part of being, in this community is we really are stronger together.
Yep. Now, it's not to say that if there's a big client who's shopping five different matchmakers, they aren't going to feel a little competitive. But for the most part, at least the ones that show up at the conferences, it's really interesting. Sometimes I'll be working with somebody on a Zoom call, a coaching call, and they won't be in one of my markets. And they'll say, well, who in my market do you think I should maybe hire? And they'll list who they are. And I know all the people who are growth oriented, all the people who are working on their trade. We show up at those conferences every month. We're on that call. And that's how the industry evolves. It's amazing. And so he was asking me for my recommendation. And I told him none of these matchmaking agencies participate in in the evolution of the business. They don't
Mm.
show up at this stuff. So I'm inclined to think that they're pretty much in it for the money and it's all about the business of it.
Yeah, I agree I think that if you really are passionate about something and you want to make a difference and you want to be amazing at your job, you have to be constantly learning and
Mhm.
in direct conversation with other people who are doing the same so that you can learn from each other. And
Yeah.
that's another reason why I just love this matchmaker community is because we really do help each other.
Yep. Um, Tell us who you specialize in and what type of events you specialize in. You're south of Denver in Colorado Springs.
Yes, my demographic is 30 plus. I specialize in smart, soulful singles, so people who generally identify as nerdy, and so men in particular, and the women who are interested in nerdy men, and that's my niche. And the events that I do are directly related to those types of folks. So.
So like
Um,
Dungeons and Dragons, what are your events like? Are they games?
Yeah, we play card games. So
Mhm.
I really wanted to provide a space for people to have low pressure connections, to be able to get to learn about each other and learn their vibes, learn where they have common ground, but do it in a fun way. So we play card games with conversation prompts and the conversation questions that I have that people write down answers to change. So no single event is going to have all of the same questions. So that's really important to me that every time I have a group of people that gets together, there's a unique conversation that happens as a result. And that's related to the questions that they get.
Beautiful.
And so, yeah, there are four different games that we play, and each game takes about between 15 and 20 minutes. And at the end, people can write down who they connected with for friendship or something more. And then I
I
also do events for non-singles as well. I want to be able to provide spaces for folks to get together and just build community because at the end of the day, that's what I care about. So I
Yeah.
like having my singles events for my single community, and I like
Mhm.
having my um, everybody events, my
Yeah.
speed friending events where everybody can connect and get together, and we lead with friendship there too.
I love that. It bothered me a whole lot through the years that matchmaking, and the more expensive it got, the more true this is. It really became for such a small group of people who have
Mhm.
access. And what happens to all the rest of the people? They just get left out because they don't want to spend a whole lot of money or they can't, or whatever the reason is. Sometimes they don't trust that it's going to be a good investment. And so, for friendship, for example, anybody who's in my boot camp, I love to help people create their social networks. And in week 3 of boot camp, it's all about that. And so I'll look through my database to see who's in their area that I can create a friendship with, gal pals, I call them. And then I joke with people and say it's the booby prize for being in my community. But the women are so appreciative because a lot of their friends are married or they're coupled up or
Yes.
they're that they're single, but they're negative, whiny, bitchy. They just want to sit around and complain. The kind of people we get to work with, thank goodness, are the kind of people like, hey, you know what? I'm going to stir the pot a little bit. I'm going to see if I can cause something to happen.
Yes.
I wanted to ask you about, you've watched these events, and there are people who do well at them, and there are people who don't do well at them. So I wondered if you could bring to mind, and of course, not sharing any names, somebody who does really well at these events and why, like what is special? And then you know what I'm going to ask you is somebody who just doesn't do well at all, and what's the issue and can it be fixed?
Oh, love this question so much because I think it speaks to something that I had a conversation with folks about earlier today is um, these are skills that people can learn. And once you learn that skill, you like your life can change dramatically. And so, yeah, there are folks who are less successful than others. And I'll start with that individual first because
Yeah.
I like to end on a hopeful note.
Okay, the person who's really messing up, what are they doing?
So I've had individuals who I think it takes a certain amount of bravery and courage to just show up to a singles event because you're doing it alone, right? And then on top of that, you have to engage with other people and you're answering questions, you're having conversations related to things that are pretty vulnerable. Like I do ask pretty vulnerable questions. Like, what are you not taking into 2026 that you're leaving behind in 2025? Or like, tell me about like a toxic trait that you're not interested in making sure that your next future person has or whatever. Um, and I think it's hard for people to really reveal themselves to others. So if you don't have a lot of practice, just having conversations with people and talking about things that you like, where you talk about you how you feel, then you're probably gonna struggle. Um, and so that's it's tough to see. It's tough.
So the
It's
person
tough.
who's not doing very well that came to
Yeah.
mind when I asked you that question,
Yes.
um, is it a man or a woman?
It's usually men, but it's not always. I've had women too. But for women, the one woman who had an issue, it was a language issue, right? So she didn't speak English well enough to be able to write or read it. So
Mhm.
that's a totally separate issue compared to the
Yeah.
man that I'm thinking of who came, was brave enough to come, but just really struggled to reveal himself and to engage in like a back and forth conversation, even in like a group setting.
So it'd
Um,
be like a one-word answer or, something short, but you can't get it, it would sort of die. I have a gentleman client like that who had a series of one-day wonders, and there was no engaging conversation. He would always like ping pong it. That's what there's a podcast I did earlier with a woman named Sarah Holtz, and she calls that ping ponging. And she would say something that made him think of something, and then he would say something, and then it just nothing meaty happened. And that's what the women would complain about. So, what would your advice be to him, to people who have a really hard time conversing? It's uncomfortable, it's unnatural. What's the practice that we can do to get better at it?
I think there is, in general, people struggle with being uncomfortable, right? And so I love this idea of putting yourself in discomfort every day. Whether that's physical discomfort, like splash your face with ice water. That's uncomfortable, right? Just like get what that feels like to experience the discomfort. Um, and then over time, through exposure, your body will learn to like, yes, that's uncomfortable, but I can stay here in the discomfort. I can
Mhm.
still be present and have a conversation and meet people where they are, even
Mhm.
though I'm not 100% comfortable. And that is really the goal.
Yep.
And that's helpful for relationships too, is to be able to sit with discomfort,
I
conflict.
remember when the first employee that I ever hired, she was really good at administrative stuff, but I needed her to be good also out in public events and whatever. She really struggled with it. So I gave her some assignments, and I told her I wanted her to go to three different Chamber of Commerce meetings and bring me back 5 business cards of people that she discovered happened to be single and whatever. And she's like, how could I possibly do that? And I taught her how to do it. And it broke the ice for her. If we have a mission rather than just, oh, I'm here to try to find my partner, that's too much pressure.
Too
If
much.
I'm here to see who I can tickle today. Who can I give a compliment to? Men are starved for compliments. Starved. We don't give
True.
them.
So true.
So what is flirting? It's a compliment, it's a question, or it's a comment. And so I would send her out to these events saying, start with a question, a compliment, or a comment. And you're going to meet 20 people and you've never done this before, and you're going to see that it's not impossible and that you can do it. And she did it. And the next time she resisted it less. And the next time she told me she was actually looking forward to it. And she was challenged, like she was like excited about the challenge where she had been dreading the first one. Practice.
Practice,
Mm-hmm.
100%. Yeah. I mean, teachers, think about all the time they spend in front of audiences, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like every time I had to like present something in front of a classroom of children, I would get really nervous. I'm still nervous presenting to a certain extent, but you get used to it, right? Like
Yeah.
having a little bit of nerve is actually beneficial because you want to be alert.
Yeah.
So learning how to like sit with that discomfort and also, making sure you're prepared, that I think that helps. But just
Nervousness,
practice exposure is really the thing.
nervousness and excitement are very, very close to each other.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, Jennie, can I ask you some personal questions?
Okay, I'm prepared.
Not too risque. I won't be anything risque.
Okay.
Um, you're dating after having been married.
Yes.
What are you clear about in the qualities that you're really looking for that you weren't looking for the first time around?
Yeah, I want somebody who is willing to be able to sit with discomfort and engage in conflict. I think that's not something that we're taught how to do. Um, but I would love to find somebody who already knows how to do that.
Or perhaps you might be in the 11th grade in that department. He might be in the 4th grade. But if he won't acknowledge it and you wouldn't tell him. But if he if he has the willingness to engage and he's liking the results,
Yes.
you know?
I love a growth mindset. I love somebody who, so
Mhm.
this is a question that I love to ask people actually. I will ask them, do you have a hobby that you engage in consistently that not a lot of people know about? And what that tells me is that they choose to do something not for the sake of other people's prying eyes or external praise, but they do it because they want to. And so if they can show up consistently doing something that they enjoy doing, then generally I can assume that they're going to bring that same energy and level of commitment to a relationship. So I love to see that.
So answer your own question. What's a hobby that you have that is uncommon or you don't tell everybody about it? It's just something you do. Now you're going to tell people.
Right? Some people know, some people don't, but I really do enjoy making matcha tea every day. It's part of my morning routine. I have a little frother and I have a system that I do. And like I got my soy milk, I've got the frother, I have an extra cup so I can froth the milk before I add the milk to the cup with the hot water and I froth that with the matcha tea and then I combine. And then I add a little bit of sweetness. And then I sit and I enjoy and I read the newspaper. And that's my
Oh,
routine.
that's your morning ritual. It's a beautiful
Yeah.
ritual. Yeah, I'm glad you do that. I want some.
Okay.
Make me some matcha.
Love
Um,
it.
yeah, I like that question. It does say a lot about what they're doing that they do because they really enjoy it. It has nothing to do with impressing anyone else. It could be like the man who makes his bed every day. Nobody's going to see it, but
Hmm.
he makes his bed anyway.
Yeah, for himself.
Yeah, right. He does
He's
it for
got
himself.
discipline. Yeah.
Yeah, it shows something. I like to watch, one little thing says a lot about other things too. So interesting. All right, so here's a question for you. One piece of advice that you would give to single women today, single women who are out there dating, they would love to be in a relationship. What's the piece of advice that sort of rises to the top that you would love to infuse into them?
Date outside your type. Be open-minded. Let people show you how great they are or how not great they are. Give people a chance.
Yeah, no. So when you say type, are you talking about physical or are you talking about other things as well?
Generally, I'm talking about physical type.
Yeah.
Yeah, people who have preferences for height, for like appearance, that kind of thing.
I'm thinking of this one client who always had her type, her type, her type. And I wasn't even doing this for very long, but somehow I had the courage to say, darling, it's pretty clear your type isn't working out for you. How about we start expanding things a little bit? And we laughed about it. But why do we have to go this? And then in another situation, a woman, it wasn't looks, but it was like she came from a blue blood environment. She
Mm.
came from aristocracy in her city. With it was like where we were in St. Louis, where there were debutante balls and things like that. It was like that. And her type was always the country club guy, the guy who went to Harvard, the guy who you could say, oh, well, my boyfriend, my husband, you could say it out loud and people would be like, wow, you must be special. And I had to encourage her to date outside her type in that regard.
Hmm.
She wasn't so hung up on what he looked like. She had a wide variety of different types of men that she could be happy to go on a date with. But it was the snooty, snobby element that she was stuck on. And I really drilled down on it with her and I asked her what it was all about. It was because of her mother and it was because of her grandmother and her aunt and how they would grill her over every guy she ever dated. And well, he better be this and he better be that. And it was so funny because I said, well, how many of those ladies are still around that you still see? She says, oh, they're all gone now. And I'm like, and you're still listening to their advice?
Yeah, those expectations are still in her mind. But when you say that she's like comes from this debutante world, I immediately think the Notebook. Like, why wouldn't she want to have a Notebook experience? Like, find somebody on the other side of the track who like has this well of like romantic love
Mhm.
and yeah, that's what I think of. There's so many people that are going to surprise you in so many different ways, and why not let them?
I'm watching this new budding relationship that's been going on for a couple months now, and it's really special. And it's not a relationship that I would have predicted. She's highly intelligent, highly educated. He went straight to work. He didn't have patience for school. He couldn't sit still in algebra class. He was starting businesses as an 11-year-old, right?
Wow.
And he's that kind of a guy. And she's always dated the boring engineer type because that's who she had in class, that's who she met. And she's having the time of her life. And I love that she's got the open-mindedness, what you're talking about, Jennie,
Yes.
to spend time with this guy and see how she feels when she's with him. And she can worry later what her parents are going to say about the fact that she's more educated than he is. His income goes up and down and up and down because he's an entrepreneur and not every venture is successful.
Hmm.
I'm really pleased to see that she has the ability to think outside the box and to date outside the box. Because that one guy who's good looking and he went to Harvard and all that, well, he thinks he's really special. And he usually ends up single or married to the wrong woman who was just gorgeous, but there was
Hmm.
no heart and soul there. They get divorced. He comes back to us looking for a real relationship. If
Right.
people could just give up this status thing,
Yes. Throw
maybe
out the expectations. Just
yeah,
throw them out. We don't need
except
them.
except for expectations regarding character, right? Uh,
Yes.
because the
Have
stuff that really
values. Right. You should
Yeah,
absolutely have values, but
values. Absolutely.
right.
You love participating in the Adventure Rabbi thing. Are you a candidate only for Jewish men, or would a man? No, I think when we did your profile, you're open. If he's open
I'm
to being
open.
Jewish, see, you walk your
Yeah.
talk. You walk your
Yeah,
talk.
as long as they're okay with the idea of potentially going to an adventure rabbi retreat with me, like that would be awesome.
Yeah, it sure would. You just need to find a shiksa guy. I was the shiksa goddess for my husband.
Yeah. Yeah, that's usually my go-to, actually.
Yeah. And I don't know if I've told you much about my mother-in-law, but the people listening have heard a lot about my mother-in-law. She was
Oh,
just a
yes.
wonderful Jewish woman. And by the time she found out about me, she was tired of asking, is she Jewish? Is she Jewish? She said, I'm not even going to ask if she's Jewish. I want to know, does she sit down to pee? That's what she asked him. Like any girl will do. Okay. Just get down the aisle. He was
Lowered
pretty cool.
expectations.
Yeah, right.
Hey,
She's got to
that's
be
great. No expectations is even better.
if she has girl parts, that works for me because they
Mhm.
hadn't had any grandchildren in their family for a really long time. And we had two
Mm.
boys. So if it hadn't been for our two boys, the name wouldn't continue and all that. So there was a lot of pressure. Maybe that's why he was Bachelor Gil until he was 44 years old.
He was waiting for the exact right person.
He was waiting for me to get out of diapers, Jenny. He used to think, gosh, I wonder where my future wife is right now. Well, I was in the second grade. Okay. So it was a great thing. But, it didn't make that much difference, the age difference then. It's more challenging today because he's
You think
retired.
so?
Yeah. So it's why we're seeing this in the older demographic where men are still expecting to date younger, but women are like, no, I'm probably going to outlive you. And everybody I know who's my age is sitting on the couch and I want to go do this and that. So they're asking me for the younger men, but the
Hmm.
younger men didn't get the memo yet.
Yet.
So that's why the events matter because
Yeah.
I'm thinking of this event that we threw in Santa Fe. Oh my gosh. It was for a social group that I created for my husband because I wanted to give him things to do while I was working.
Oh, fun.
And so we had
Stay
about
busy.
yeah, it was self-serving, but we had about 80 people in this room. And I watched what happened. I didn't expect it. There was a guy over here, there was a girl over here. I know them well. It never occurred to me that maybe they should be together. But I watched him. He beelined right through a crowd of people, right over to her, spent the evening talking with her, and they are married today. There's a 25-year age gap between them.
Wow. Wow.
And nobody ever talks about it. It's not an issue. They play tennis together. He's very active. She runs marathons. It's amazing. It's a beautiful relationship. And he's got the wisdom and the maturity to dote on her. And if she wants to go do one of those big marathons in wherever, Arizona, New York, whatever, he'll go with her and he'll bring the waters and the stuff. It's a beautiful relationship that would not have happened had age been on profiles or had
Mm.
somebody said, I want you to meet this guy. He's blah, blah, blah years old. Sounds like my father. I think he's only like 3 years younger than her father.
Yeah, and that's why, dating outside your type is so important. It's hard to date
Mhm.
online for that reason. But when you meet people in person, you realize like, oh, they smell a certain way. Oh, or that we have this like weird childhood experience in common, or like we both love bicycles.
Yeah, right, right. Find common ground and find surprises with people.
Yes.
And when we know that it's not going to be a romance, my listeners listen to this enough, they probably know what I'm going to say. Leave them with their dignity and think of a way that is it worth spinning into another domain? Okay, so this person isn't the right person for you for romance. Is there a business possibility? Is there a friendship possibility? I'm thinking of this wonderful man who was a rabbi, and I met him when I was doing personal ads in Kansas City. He wrote this beautiful, beautiful letter, 3 pages, gorgeous handwriting. He didn't say what he did for work. I said yes to the date. And then when I got together with him, I asked him, I said, how come you didn't tell me what you did for work? I'm thinking maybe you were an undertaker or something. And he said, no, actually, I'm a rabbi, but I didn't want to lead with that because I was afraid that maybe it might be off-putting for whatever reason. And I knew that he wasn't going to be my guy. He had two kids, and I wanted kids of my own. He wasn't sure about that. But I knew that he was special. I knew he was special from the moment I looked at his handwriting. And so I started doing cooking classes with him because we both had an interest in getting
Oh,
to
how
be better cooks.
fun.
Great guy, super fun. And then his nanny babysitter person up and left, and he was just completely without help. And he asked me one day, he said, Julie, I wonder if you'd be willing. I'm short. I don't have much time to solve this problem. I need somebody to actually watch my kids on Saturday night. I've got a wedding I need to do, and I need somebody to watch my kids. And my babysitter just flipped out on me. And I said, you know what? I would love that because
Oh,
I wanted to
cool.
have kids, right? Being with kids while you're thinking about having them is usually a good idea. You got to know what it's
Yes, it
really like.
is.
And
Yes.
it was part of what cemented for me that I know that I want to have children in my life because I had a chance to be with his kids. And I asked him to do it again. We became friends for a long time. He was the one who I called when Gil and I decided to get married. And I said, Bruce, it's Julie. Remember me, the blonde shiksa gal from Kansas City? Well, I'm getting married, and guess what? It's a Jewish guy. And it probably wouldn't happen had I not met you and gotten very comfortable and gone to your temple and been to your seders and things like that.
Wow.
And he was so tickled to hear that. And so he helped
Yeah.
us find the rabbi that would marry a Jewish man and a recovering Catholic.
What is like that's an incredible story to be able to say that these certain events led to other events that really did impact your life in
Mhm.
significant ways.
Yep. And the key is I'm in the middle of my boot camp right now, and we're doing the week that's all about social magnetism and how to turn strangers into keepers and how to get over the jitters that keep us from holding eye contact. When we're in the airplane and we finally land and everybody picks up their phone, you be the one who doesn't. You be the one who doesn't. And I love your idea about do something that scares you every day, something that's
Mhm.
outside your comfort zone. And when it comes to introductions, having the courage to care about this other person, because once we care about this other person, it's not about us anymore, and all of a sudden we're there. Can I help you with your bags or whatever? Start with little old ladies, start with people on crutches, start with people in wheelchairs who could need a door opened or something. Go out of your way to be helpful with people, and in the process practice your engagement skills.
That's
practice
right.
on practice on the people who really need it, the little old men who, they go to the grocery store because there's nothing else to do all day long. And if he gets a chance to talk to a cute girl like Jennie, well, that just makes his whole day, doesn't it?
And it will make yours too.
Yeah.
Just enjoying other people's happiness is its own sense of like wonderfulness.
I did a meditation yesterday that talked about exactly that. I do the Calm
Oh,
app. Yeah, the Calm app
great.
is my addiction now. It's a really good addiction. And every day, like when I hang up with you, I am going to have my late afternoon nap. And first, I will listen to my 10-minute meditation. And it was about exactly that. And he called it vicarious joy.
Mm.
And it's like, he said, when you're in a grumpy mood, or when you're feeling self conscious, or when you're just sort of think of a moment when you got vicarious joy seeing other people or one person who got who was happy for whatever reason. It could be somebody's at the gate waiting for the airplane and they're looking on their phone and they see something and they laugh out loud. Somebody made her laugh out loud, or they got a beautiful warm smile on their face and you just know that he picked up a beautiful message from somebody who actually cares about him. And what he said to do is when you're in a funk, think of a moment like that where you were thrilled because someone else was having a joyful experience. And the one that came to mind, and it's been in my mind all day, is the funniest thing. I was in St. Louis years and years ago, and I was driving my car, and it was on one of those two-lane roads that gets real clogged up when it's kids out of school time. And I'm by myself in my car, and there's a station wagon in front of me with one of those seats in the back that looks backward.
Hmm.
They probably don't do them anymore because
They
it's
don't
probably
do them anymore,
yeah,
but
it's very dangerous.
but I
But
remember.
this was a while ago. And I see these two kids. They're like 5 years old, a boy and a girl. And I'm just in traffic and I'm looking at these adorable kids and they start like kissing each other. It was so cute. And they were like really enjoying it and laughing and giggling. And they did it again. And then they did it again. And before you know it, they're like making out in the back seat of this station wagon. And I'm watching. And I'm like, I felt like I shouldn't be watching. This is an intimate moment. But then they looked and saw that I was watching and I was laughing. And I'm like, I'm seeing you. Right? And they just that put the accelerator on it and they felt like now they were doing a show and they started this serious makeout session and I just have to wonder what the hell happened with those two.
How old are these children?
They were like coming from kindergarten. It was the cutest thing. So now I know if I'm in a funk, I'm just going to think of those two kids in the backseat of that car making
That's the
out at the age of
memory.
5. Jenny, you are such a delight. Thank you for doing this with me.
Oh, thank you. This was so fun.
And what's amazing is that I wouldn't even know you, probably, at least not well, unless my husband forced me to move from Santa Fe, New Mexico, up to Denver, Colorado.
Yes. I'm so glad you're here.
Me too. I'm really loving it. And, next month I'm going to Santa Fe to do a bunch of stuff and we're going to have parties and I'm going to
Oh,
meet with
fun.
clients and
Can I come?
hike, yeah, hike my favorite hikes. Yeah, it's only like 5 hours for you. It's 6 hours for me.
That's right. I'm closer.
Hmm. So I'll come down, pick you up, and then we'll go together.
Okay, great.
So this is just an example of how difficult things can bring about lovely possibilities if we can
Yeah.
embrace them. I'm loving exploring Colorado. I always have loved Colorado, and I'm happy wherever I am. My desk can be wherever. And so now I get to build a whole new community that I never expected to build. So you and I both share something. It's a buoyancy of spirit. We
Mm,
have an ability to look on the bright side of things, positive by nature, courageous enough to think outside the box. You're just my kind of chick. That's all.
I love it. I love it. I'll be your kind of chick.
All right. Anytime you're stuck with me. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you had fun today. I sure did. And I have a feeling some of these things we talked about, you're going to take to heart the next time you're feeling uncomfortable doing anything. Think of those two kids in the back of that station wagon. Okay. I bet it's going to work for you too. Thank you for your time, Jenny.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure.
And, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to go out there and transform me to we for yourself. Thanks for listening.